part of your diet rather than milk. And using oils as supplements rather than... So 70% of all your calories would come from fat, low protein, and of course...
Well, and that's not what we hear, really.
And no carbs.
Yeah, a lot of protein.
No vegetables, no fruit.
But that is a ketogenic diet. Okay. That's when the body will say, we have way too much fat. We're going to alter the fat in a way that allows our brain to use it. Because the brain can't burn fat for fuel. It can only burn sugar or, in certain circumstances, ketones. So that's why the body has the ability to say, in the absence of sugar, we can use fat if we adjust it so the brain can use it. And that's when, during that transition, when the body's saying, are we using carbs or ketones? Somebody, what's the latest? You get zombie-like, it's like, oh, I'm not quite with it. I can't concentrate, because the brain's saying, well, I don't have enough sugar and I don't have enough ketones. What am I doing here?
Oh, that's interesting.
But what fitness people do is they just remove the carbs.
Yeah, right.
So I have relatively low fat, high protein relative to everything else, and no carbs.
I think that's the trend, honestly.
Well,
absolutely.
You can get into ketosis that way.
Yeah.
But a lot of people will use the sticks, right? The little urine sticks that you test for ketones. And they'll go, no matter what I do, I can't get into ketosis. When you ask them what they're eating, one, they're not eating enough fat, that the ketones that they're producing, they burn. And so, of course, the urine is not going to show any ketones because they don't have excess spilling into the urine.
Okay.
So if you're on a ketogenic diet and you're not seeing any ketones, and you should, you're either not eating enough fat or you're exercising too much. Now, it should be added that not everybody has the ability to switch into ketosis as easily as everyone else.
Yeah, and that makes sense.
And there's been studies to show that there's pretty good individual variance in their ability to accommodate this sudden lack of carbs.
Okay.
A lot of people suffer for multiple days when the body is just not switching its physiology to say, oh, okay, we know what's going on. And other people, within 48 hours, it's like they've switched. Again, that metabolic flexibility.
Is that called fat adaptive?
Adapting, the ability to adapt to a fat diet.
And can you liken that into people that fast? For instance, I can fast for 5 days, and maybe around day 3 I get a little lull, but basically I'm like pretty stellar and okay. Oh. And Lori, after day 1, she struggles.
Yeah, I have to. Like this last time I went on a 5 to 6 day fast, and I drank bone broth in the morning, and that made a huge difference. But my metabolism or something, it's very difficult for me to fast without like getting the white lights, like I'm going to pass out. And I don't know what the deal is with that.
That might be going into a different question because we're going to ask that.
And
but
I do intermittent fast. I do that.
But curious if that had the same effect. But anyways, let's stay on the keto thing. Yeah.
Well, the fasting is the fastest way to get into ketosis. If you feed your body a little bit, and they did studies on this as well, this time in people, they don't really do them anymore, but they found if you feed the body a little bit, it's far more difficult to fast, right? Or to adapt to a low-calorie environment. And they found that in people that what they would call a very low-calorie diet, so like 200 calories, 300 calories total per day, were miserable and obsessed with food, couldn't concentrate, and were literally emotionally panicking. It's like, I do not want to do this anymore.
Wow. Or I'm totally the opposite. It's weird. Happy. Yeah.
Those people who don't eat anything, the body is then able to switch, saying, okay, there is no hope. There is no food coming. So we better make this change.
And it does. To survive.
Right? Yeah. And they do better. I would recommend that anybody who's considering doing fasting, fast. Don't say, oh, well, I'll just have this, I'll just have that. It does make it more difficult because you're sending mixed signals to your body's metabolism to say, what are we doing here? Are we fasting? Which means I have to rely entirely on stored fuel, entirely. Right. Or are we not?
Yeah.
So,
well, of course, this is me personally, which maybe we should talk about this later, but I have fasted before, previously. Like I've done a couple water fasts, 5-day water fasts, and I barely get through, and then it takes me a few days to feel normal again. So this last time when I fasted, I thought I'm going to try something different. That's where I just did 1 cup of bone broth in the morning and then liquids. I mean, I didn't eat anything. I wasn't like I've got to eat. I think it just helped me not be so delirious. I don't know. Maybe that's just an issue for me. That's not common, but
if there's anything I would recommend to somebody who's struggling with a fast, it would be to eat fat. Okay, so fat will not interfere with the physiological changes that fasting induces because it's compatible with those changes. The easiest, fat would be medium chain triglycerides, so MCT oils.
Okay, yeah.
Now, they can upset some people's stomachs,
Yeah.
so, you have to say, I'll take just a little bit first and see how I do. But that will not alter the body's reaction to fasting. Okay, protein will, carbohydrates will, but fat will not.
What about people drinking coffee? Some people
Coffee will not.
Yes, a lot of people
so you
will
can
drink
coffee.
black coffee while they're fasting.
A little MCT.
They're not purists.
There's no reason to avoid things like caffeine or stimulants or other things like that when you're fasting. It's not going to alter things that much.
Okay.
The other thing I would recommend, and the purists may not like this either, is a fiber supplement. So the bacteria in your gut do not like fasting per se, right? And essentially you'll have populations of certain strains of bacteria that will die off if there's nothing to eat. Others that will then turn and begin to eat the mucosal lining of the gut if there's no food.
I think that's what I felt the last time I tried to fast. Remember I told you because I just recently tried to do one just to see how it goes. And by day 4, I felt like I had to quit. Where in the past, I'm like, I could go 10 to 12, and I knew I couldn't go past that 4th day. Yeah. And because I literally felt like inside my guts were being eaten.
Not happy.
Yeah. Not at all.
So fiber, right, is totally okay during a fast. And in fact, the fiber will be used to produce short-chain fatty acids by the bacteria, which is fat, right? So it's a healthier way to fast.
So fiber, what would you suggest?
First and foremost, I would say fermentable fibers. So that would be things like prebiotics, like inulin, fructooligosaccharides, FOS, and short
Is that
chain.
like vitamins?
No.
What is that? I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, it would. They're fibers that only good bacteria can utilize and bad bacteria can't. And so for this reason, they call them prebiotics.
Okay.
And inulin is the most commonly known.
And you could find that at the health food store.
Yes,
it's like a powder or something.
Health food store.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a
we have some here.
Tasteless powder.
Okay.
Clear, stirs up in water. Can't see it. It's gone. And then any even just the over-the-counter Mucilex and those fibers are just fine.
Psyllium husk in it,
but you could also use, for example, rice bran fiber. It's just the fiber from rice.
Okay.
And that has a lot of other minerals and things in it that's super healthy, and your gut really likes it. So, again, fiber is good while you're fasting. And a lot of people are going to go, wait a minute, then that's not fasting if I'm putting fiber. Well, you're not feeding you. You're feeding your gut, your bugs.
Right.
And those are topical.
Right.
They're not in you.
Want
They're
those.
on you.
Okay.
That is so good to know.
So,
yeah, it is. Now, that would probably be good advice for long-term fasting, not necessarily for intermittent fasting.
A day, no. Or those who are just, compressing their food window would not be necessary. But they should still have fiber in the foods that they are eating.
Okay. And then what is your, what do you think about that, intermittent fasting? Sorry.
Sherry wants to know that.
Sherry.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about the latest trend?
It works. And it works because, as we talked about metabolic flexibility, it exercises your body's ability to switch because it has no choice, right? There is no meal coming in. And what they found is that the body is better able to preserve muscle tissue when it has a clear message to switch to fat.
Okay.
Because the body makes sugar from muscle. So you either eat sugar, carbohydrates is sugar, or your body gets that sugar from protein, which is either in the diet or on your body. If there is no protein coming in and there is no sugar coming in, then the body has to switch to fat and has to quit. Well, a lot of people eat just enough to prevent that switch from happening each day. And by either closing the food window, right, they force the body to go longer and to provide energy for daily activities and whatever it may be with the absence of carbohydrates, and you develop a better ability to switch from carbs to fat.
Yeah,
and it's healthy.
What do you suggest is a good window?
You would have a hard time making an argument. The research that's out says, when intermittent fasting works, they've shown compared to regular dieting, it doesn't necessarily work better than regular dieting, but I think some people do better mentally I don't want to eat a bunch of small meals a day because
Yeah,
I either
right.
overeat or I eat the wrong
Yeah.
foods. I need to be told I can't eat. And I'm okay with
yeah.
that as long as I know that, no, I'm not going to eat, but at 1, I do get to eat. So I'm
Right.
okay to make it that far.
Yeah.
But don't give me an apple and tell me to be happy.
Yeah, right?
So are you
I'm
thinking
that way.
12 to 16 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then what would
Is
you...
your non-eating window.
Yes, and
But
you're
you
not
can-
like you go to bed at
Yeah.
night and you count that.
Yeah.
That's 8 hours or however
Yeah.
long
Yeah,
you sleep.
that includes.
So that's
Yeah.
why if people stop eating, say at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock
Yeah.
at night, and they go to bed and they don't eat till
Yeah.
12 or 2, 12, 1, 2, they're in that window.
So you
would-
give
I
yourself
would
like an 8-hour
I
window
would
to eat,
suggest,
maybe.
though, that people not eat too late, and not for the reasons that you think. Eating late does not make you gain weight.
Yeah, like the Europeans have
Yeah,
proven.
it doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah, we used to think that.
It's the calories. But your circadian rhythms are affected by when you eat. So
Yeah.
you're affecting a lot of other body clocks.
Okay.
It thinks it's daytime and time to eat, and you eat late. It's more difficult to sleep. Your sleep is not
for
as
sure.
sound. And a lot of people have experienced that, and they go, no. Other people get in the habit of it and just do it. But if you're going to compress your window, compress it kind of in the middle of the day, maybe early afternoon, to
Yeah.
late afternoon,
Okay. That's good.
rather
Yeah.
than, well, I can't sleep when I'm so hungry, so I'm going to eat all my huge meal right before bed.
Yeah, yeah.
I
That's
never
not
sleep
so
well
good.
when I eat a
I don't
big meal.
either.
I hate
And
it.
I've noticed certain things that I eat that can affect my sleep. Did we address like the ketogenic issue enough? So if you eat not enough fats or if you eat too much protein, is that going to affect you if you're on the ketogenic diet?
Yeah, eating too much protein is going to make it more difficult. Not eating enough fat, obviously, is going to make it more difficult. I'll say this, if you're a bodybuilder, and I don't know how many of your listeners are bodybuilders, but they're going to have no choice but to eat lots and lots of protein when they do this. And unreal amounts, 300 grams, 400 grams a day. Nothing any normal person would ever do. Assuming we're dealing with normal people, I would say change the type of meats that you're eating, and this can be very difficult for somebody who's accustomed to eating healthy. It's like, no, I don't eat those meats, right?
Yeah.
I eat chicken. I eat chicken breast.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
eat the thighs because the thighs have more
Yeah.
fat on them. I
Yeah.
don't eat that. I don't eat hamburger. I eat this.
Yeah. You've been
No,
trained.
your body needs the fat.
Okay,
and
that's good.
And it won't harm you, and it won't hurt. About the question about, well, I went on a ketogenic and I didn't lose weight.
Right.
Two things happen. One, you're either balancing your calories in, calories out, right? You're not active enough. You're not exercising. You're compensating for the amount of calories that you're burning. Or your metabolism is responding to not enough calories, and you're literally not burning very many calories in a day unless you're actually exercising.
Okay.
So your resting calorie burn is really low. And usually that happens with people who semi-diet all the time. They don't eat enough as they should, and so their metabolism is constantly running as efficiently as possible, and then they go on a diet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so they're starting without any headroom for the body to say, So
Okay.
it's a common thing.
Yeah.
And they need to try something else if it's not working for them, regardless of how good people say, oh, you got to do this. Look, if it doesn't work for you,
Right.
it's not going to work for you.
I think that's
And we're
how
all
you
different.
found me
Yeah.
originally. You found
With that
me.
problem.
Yes. Don't you remember?
The semi-diet. I'm
The
always
I
on
was,
a diet.
I'm always on a diet. So what I was trying to get to before we went
Sorry,
back to the
yeah.
keto thing, no, it's fine, is that because I know the question they're going to ask is how many days should they intermittent fast?
Oh, I do it all the time.
Yeah, so
I'm
some
always
people do it
intermittent
all the
fasting.
time, but
yeah.
but is it okay to do it 7 days a week? Should they only do it 3 days a week? Should it be Monday, Wednesday, Friday? Should it be 2
That's
days
a
in
good
a
question.
row, 3 days off?
If your nutrition is adequate, there's no reason not to continue to do it.
At any time, every day.
No, we forget that as a species, we evolved under conditions that there was no grocery store.
Yeah.
If you were going to eat that day, you went out and found it in the woods, right? That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Or you fished it out of a lake or
Right.
whatever it was. And if the fishing wasn't good that day, too bad, no eat.
Yeah.
You're going to wait
Right.
until tomorrow.
Squirrel.
So, our bodies developed in an environment where food was uncertain and often was scarce. So we live in an environment now where food is plentiful.
Yeah.
There is no feast and famine cycle that we would have during the normal seasons. So this notion that, it's not good to not eat enough, not necessarily true. It's not good to have adequate nutrition.
Right.
That's
right.
never good. So if you're using fasting and the foods that you are eating when you do eat are not